guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 5 on DraftKings is here, and we have a cage match for you. For those of you who do not know, every single week we draft 2 teams. I bring a guest on the show. This week, Daniel Dopp from the ESPN Fantasy Football Focus is with us, and you can see that I've got a picture of him in the thumbnail with really short hair because I engage in a lot of mental warfare on these cage matches. It's not just about drafting teams. I've got to get these guys thinking differently so that they make bad decisions in the cage. I can tell that he's reeling. I can see him backstage already. So the way that we draft these teams is going to be kind of a schoolyard snake, like you're drafting flag football teams or basketball teams back when you were in middle school. We're going to have first pick, second and 2, and then 1-1-1 the rest of the way. But if you play head-to-heads on DraftKings, I'm sure that you're used to your opponents having a lot of the same players as you, because the value players are pretty obvious on a week-in, week-out basis, and you end up knowing who's in play and who's not in play. And so everybody kind of gravitates towards the same plays, and you get it like a 2v2 or a 3v3 in your head-to-head games. Not in the cage. We're going to draft these snake style using the DraftKings salaries, but if Daniel picks somebody, I can't have him. If I pick him, he can't have him. It leads to 2 totally separate high floor cash game style lineups for us to play against each other for charity. We're going to be playing for $100. The winner will get $100 donated to their charity by the loser. I'm 2-2 in the cage, and we'll recap this video on the Fantasy Football channel. So look out for that, and let's go.
He's a legend.
Hey, Daniel, how's it going, man?
It's not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to have you here. Tomorrow we get to do our podcast together at ESPN, but today you come on my show and enter the cage.
That's right. That's right. And I'm going to take you down this. I think I beat you last time. Did I not?
You might have.
Remember?
I don't have a good record against Fantasy Focus members. I think I beat Field and I beat Stefania, and I've lost to like everybody else.
I'm pretty certain that I remember because you donated to the other charity that I did, which was to write Love on Her Arms. So yeah, true. I think I'm 1-0 in the cage.
You're 1-0 in the cage. We're going to get to the charities in just a second. Daniel, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your work?
You can find me on Twitter at Daniel Dopp, D-O-P-P. You can find me on Instagram at Something to Break. And then this year at ESPN, I am doing Fantasy Focus Football, co-hosting that show with Field Yates, Stefania Bell, Mike Clay, Liz Loza, Eric Moody. Al joins us for all of our DFS stuff on Thursday. Him, Mike, and I do a show called CSS DFS. I'm sure you guys probably listen to it or watch it already. And then I'm doing Fantasy Football Now on Sunday mornings, getting you guys ready, unless you're watching Al. You're probably watching Al. But, you know, if you need to get ready there, we're also ready there Sunday morning. So, you know, I'm just doing fantasy football stuff wherever you can find ESPN fantasy football stuff, man.
And, like, you have the best background that I've seen on the cage so far. You've got, like, the heat lamp behind you. You're outdoors. It's very fitting to you as a content creator, as a person. Like, this is the perfect setting for you to draft from. If you guys have not already, the Smiz Gang Listener League is posted for week 5. $10 to enter, 3 max. It's gonna fill early. There's already like 2,200 people out of the 5,500 seats that are in there. Zero Rake, the best tournament that exists on DraftKings. Fill this, and let's see if we can make it bigger next week. I think it's gonna fill by like midday on Saturday, so be sure that you reserve your entries early for this one through smizzle.tv/links. Daniel, this week, we're playing for $100, has said that he is going to play for the Women's March Foundation in Los Angeles. So I'm going to have to donate $100 to them if they win. And I, as always, will be playing for No Kid Hungry. You can go to smizzle.tv/charity if you want to take part in our year-long fundraiser that we are doing for No Kid Hungry, trying to raise $100,000 collectively, $50,000 from the community and potentially $50,000 from me. I will match every $10,000 up to $50,000 for food insecure kids all across America. And if I win, Daniel will donate $100 to No Kid Hungry. Daniel has chosen to pick second, so that leaves me with the number 1 pick. This is looking like a weird week up front in daily fantasy, because I think there's a lot of plays at the same price, at a very, very similar price to one another, and I want to lock something up, especially with you having 2 picks right behind me. And this is going to come as a shock to most people because generally speaking, I pick like the most extreme value on the board. Where we're drafting on Wednesday, I don't think that there's an extreme value yet, but I do think that there is one way that I can already make you chase. I take KUPP.
Wow.
For 9,600 smackers. There's a reason. Like I said, there's a lot of value on this slate. There's a lot of running backs in a value range. There's a bunch of wide receivers. There's a ton of value tight ends.
Mhm.
I think locking up Cooper Kupp's 30 points per game on DraftKings is a great way to make you figure out where you're going to make up that 30. So I'll take Cooper Kupp's 74 targets and 52 catches that are incoming this week and make you figure out where you're going to go from there.
Well, Al, Cooper Kupp has made us all feel real dumb this year. Basically, after every week, it's like, hey, remember when you didn't draft me number 1 overall?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I got to draft this other guy, Jonathan Taylor, or maybe Christian McCaffrey, or maybe it was Justin Jefferson. What were we doing? What were we doing there?
It's look, he was like a top 3 pick. So like, it's not like it was way off.
No.
Right? It's like I think there's more extreme values, but like he's the one guy who's doing what kind of we thought he would, but like in a more extreme way. However, to Jonathan Taylor's in his defense, I guess, from a season-long perspective, last year at this time, wasn't he like the RB25?
I think he was RB20 last year at this time. We just got to think from Mike about this.
Okay.
So right now he's RB22 through the first 4 weeks. So he's right there. He also, Mike let us know, he has the second easiest fantasy strength of schedule for running backs the rest of the way. And in spite of how inefficient he has been, he is 3rd in the NFL in touches. So,
yes.
I mean, this is like the perfect storm for him to be able to break out. And I'm trying to push. Like, fantasy is an emotional game. I know this isn't a DFS thing, but like, you got to make trade moves for Jonathan Taylor, man.
Yeah, that's like Chad is asking, should we be buying the dip? Yes, you should 100. Like if you
100%.
have somebody in your league who spent a 1 or 2 pick on Jonathan Taylor and like you don't know, like they're like, oh, now he's hurt. I don't know if you can get him at all right now. Now's the time to buy Jonathan Taylor. But on with the cage.
Yes, yeah, I'm with you.
All right, Jonathan Taylor right now.
I am, Al, I'm just gonna do it.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it to myself. I'm gonna go Damien Harris.
Oh, okay. Did you see my rant on them?
I did.
I thought it was a good rant.
It was a good rant. Listen, Detroit is bad against running backs.
Yes.
They are. They've given up 25 or more fantasy points to every single team that they have faced at the running back position. Damien Harris, I don't think is going to change that. So I want to get ahead of it because I'm going to be there at that game. I'm going to have to watch it anyways. And so if I'm going to have to watch it, I might as well benefit from it, is the way that I'm thinking about this.
If I have to endure this running defense, I'm going to have it pay off in the cage, is the thinking. Yep. All right. So he's your 1. Who's your 2?
My number 2 this week is going to be, I think, great, unbelievable. Oh my gosh, what were they thinking? Value in Chris Godwin at $5,900. Al.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's very good.
That's just too cheap. He played, he was on the field the entire game last week. I realized he didn't get in the end zone. A lot of it was short work, but this is too much. Like you gotta buy him. So I'm all in on Chris Godwin here.
Yeah, very good value play. I think that like I said, there's a lot of value plays at wide receiver, specifically from like 55 to 6,500. So Godwin was going to be the guy that I would pick first. But when I started digging into this from a cage match perspective, I think Godwin's a great pick. Harris, fantastic pick. Those are the 2 value ranges that I think are a little bit deep, and that led me to taking Cooper Kupp where I did. Right. So Godwin off the board, great pick with him. And so now I've got to think, where are you going to go? You could go pretty much anywhere with the rest of this team. I think there's a guy that I want to get in this spot. I'm also going to take a running back here. I could do something that would really make it, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to continue to attack the Houston Texans. I'm going to go with James Robinson at 6,300. I know he's coming off of an 8-touch game, but that's a game against Philadelphia. I am throwing out all box scores against Philadelphia this year. Okay, specifically in games when it's a monsoon and there are 20-mile-an-hour winds. That game does not count. It's right off the list. But I want to take advantage of this Houston defense that against running backs allows like the most yards before first contact. Like you can get like 2.5 to 3 yards past the line of scrimmage before anybody even touches you. That sounds great. I'm going to take James Robinson against that defense that just gave up a mountain of points to like every running back that keeps playing against them. They're going to be something that we stream against constantly. And James Robinson is the RB1 in Jacksonville. I'm going to take him, 6,300. I'm going to find ways to make this work, but I'll kick it back to you.
All right. I like that pick, by the way. I like James Robinson this week. Last week is, I don't want to say like an aberration, but Philly's just a tough defense.
Yeah.
And they're just a tough team to play against. So like
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see normal James Robinson. And I agree with chat. Jay, drafting ETN in your season long league was, in fact, a bad choice. At least
like milk on a hot day.
It has not worked out so far. You know, Al,
Mm-hmm.
there's one place to go here.
Yeah.
And it's Ramondre Stevenson. Al, what are you doing? I'm taking Ramondre Stevenson.
You took both?
I am locking up both of the Patriots. Did you not hear me when I said they have allowed at least 25 fantasy points a game to opposing running backs? We're not sure who's going to start at quarterback. We don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones. So if they do have Bailey Zappi under center, they may or may not have Jacoby Myers. Bam! Lock up both of those running backs against my Detroit Lions. It's going to hurt while I'm there, but it's going to feel so good in my lineup. Ugh.
So,
man,
I did not think that you were going to do that. I was going to take Stevenson later. I'm like, all right, you got him. I take Stevenson. We're going to twist the knife. But no, you twisted the knife on yourself before I could twist the knife.
That's right. That's right. If I do it to me, then you can't do it to me. So it's not going to hurt it as much.
That's a strong move. That is an alpha move, taking both of them.
I need Ramondre Stevenson to get in the end zone, I think is what I'm going to need. Like, they both need to score touchdowns, though, for real. Otherwise, I can't have like a 3-touchdown game from Damian Harris. I'll just be left a little weak, but we'll see.
Look, I was going to say, if you get 3 touchdowns combined out of the two of them, you're fine.
Right. So you're talking $11K in salary, right?
Yeah.
Between the two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's fine from this perspective. I would not, like, I will typically try to not cap my ceiling, by playing 2 players from the same team, but like, you're fine. I don't think that you did anything wrong there.
Me either.
I definitely don't think that you did anything wrong there. So I got to figure out my next pick. Man, I wonder where I'm going to go with this. There's so many different ways I don't know if I need to take a running back, but like, you still have a flex spot. Mm-hmm. And I think that I probably should, just so that I don't get crushed. And I think that there's a running back who's underpriced versus his current and growing role on this team. And that's BREECE Hall from the New York Jets. 5,400 has seen a bump in snaps and percent of team running back touches each of the last 2 weeks. I think that he is somewhat underpriced here. He has had double-digit Draftkings points in all 4 games this year. Miami is a tough defense with a tough front 4 and front 7, but he is still a glaring value because targets are more valuable than carries. He has 17 targets through the last 2 weeks. I am a little bit worried, at least, because Zach Wilson doesn't tend to target his running backs. Like, that's just his own tendencies. He's a gunslinger. He wants to throw it downfield. He attacks outside the hash marks because he can. But with the injuries along that offensive line and how good that Miami front 7 is, they're going to have to scheme up some ways to throttle off that pressure. And that usually comes by targeting your running backs through design screenplays and dump offs. Whether you're going to get it through progression is another story, because I don't think he progresses. I think he goes, I can get that ball there, and just fires it. But there will be some design screenplays to take pressure off as pressure relievers. I think that BREECE Hall gets another 5+ targets in this game, 5,400, more than enough for me to want to target him against Miami this week. I've got 2 value running backs who are playing at home, and 47+ remaining per player to move forward from here. I like where I'm at, and that's where I'm at. We'll see where I go from here.
We'll see where we go.
We basically have the same roster build now at this point, just you have a lot more salary.
Yeah, I'm about to spend some of it. But I'm going to try and be strategic about the way I spend it, Al.
Okay.
And we'll find out how well I know this game we play.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown at $7,600, in part because, one, I'm going to be there. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I would like to watch those touchdowns happen live. And 2, the Detroit Lions are averaging 35 points a game. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is averaging 11 targets a game. He's one of the only wide receivers in the NFL that is getting the unbelievable target share that he is. Even last week, was it last week? 2 weeks ago, when he got hurt, he still had 9 targets in that game, and he basically got hurt at the end of the first half. So you're looking at a guy, I think, a ton of upside here still. They're going to have to throw a bunch because I do expect them to be down. And, Alvin, if for some reason he doesn't go, I have to fill him in with a player that is his price or cheaper. Is that correct?
You can fill him in with whatever you have salary for.
Okay.
So
like, that just leaves me a lot of options in case he doesn't play this week. I have a lot to be able to consider if that does take place.
You definitely have outs. It leaves you with outs. Because it's 7,600. Like, if he does not go, you have that issue where you can change him. You could swap him for AJ Brown. You could, let's say, a wide receiver. You could swap him for AJ Brown. You could swap him for Marquise. Theoretically, as long as I don't take any of these guys, Mike Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans. There's plenty of guys at that range that you could give up a little bit of salary and have him. So it gives you outs against his ankle injury. A lot of targets for you from your first two wide receivers. I'm going to take a guy who's gotten a lot of targets as well. But I like the value of those targets because they are downfield. Chris Olave leading the league in terms of air yards. His skill set, has there ever been a, key meets the lock situation like Chris Olave's skill set downfield and Jameis Winston's desire to just throw the ball as far as he can as often as possible?
Yep. No, that's perfect. They're perfect for each other.
Yeah, see, that was like I don't know. You're too young for this one too, Dave. Like, that was a Diggable Planets reference. We beat to rap what he beat to lock. See, I don't know if anybody's going to get that one either in my chat or on YouTube, but like, that song was a banger in like 1993. Anyway, Chris Olave is who I'm taking. 5,700 is way too cheap. One, based on the volume that he's gotten the last 3 weeks with 33 targets over the last 3 weeks. And like I said, he's getting like 1 million air yards. So if he catches a bunch of balls, he is going to get them with big splash ability. So high floor, but an even higher ceiling. And I love the fact that he got an end zone target last week as well. Give me Chris Olave against the Seattle defense. And the reason we were attacking through Detroit last week on CSS DFS, where I picked basically a Detroit Lions player at every position, was because Seattle is worse than Detroit. So that game went nuts, predictably so. Give me Olave to go along with Cooper Kupp. I have the high floor with both of them and a possible massive ceiling from Olave if he can hook up on one of those deep passes.
All right. I'm going to jump to my flex.
Okay.
Because
another running back.
No, Al, it's just a 425 game, so you want to give yourself out. I don't know if you've ever played DFS, but you want to put the later games into the flex spot, okay?
Yeah, somebody's done that before.
Yes.
A couple of times in very high-profile situations.
Very high. I am going to take CeeDee Lamb at $7,000 because him and Cooper Rush have been on an absolute tear. Taking on the Los Angeles Rams. You're supposed to be scared of the Rams secondary, right? We talked about this last week on the podcast because we had that, the same conversation this week, and going up against the Rams. And so for Deebo Samuel and those pass catchers, I'm not worried about it. He has been absolutely rock solid. You talk about consistency, 11 targets week 1, 11 week 2, 12 week 3. He had 8 in week 4. He's just, regardless of who's back there, CeeDee Lamb has proven that he is becoming that third-year breakout wide receiver that Mike Clay often talks about, where this is the year where you look at these wide receivers to really take that next step. I'm stoked to see what's going to happen when he gets Dak Prescott back. I don't think that's going to happen this week.
No.
But I still like CeeDee Lamb at $7K with Cooper Rush under center here.
So 2 things regarding CeeDee Lamb. You remember like week 1 when he caught 2 of those 11 targets and column inches were spent on, should we be worried about CeeDee Lamb? He only caught 2 balls. And like people like me were saying, no, he got 11 targets. It'll be fine. It's fine. So that was cute. Like after week 1, the overreactions in week 1. And 2, of course, CeeDee Lamb's producing with 6, 8, and 7 catches the last 3 weeks. When you are getting as many targets as he has gotten, 31 over the last 3 weeks, from a generational talent like Cooper Rush, you can't help but succeed.
Yeah. I totally agree.
So I got 4,600. I got 4,600. Let me lock in Olave here on my team. I think I have options is really the key. I really do think that there are options this week. As I said, there's so much value. Like it's absolutely everywhere.
I put the top of the jacket on the cat, Al, and he liked it. He likes both sides of the jacket, in fact.
But you have a heated jacket, so like you're living in the future with like heated jackets, and You have all sorts of heating devices in that backyard. Jackets, heat lamps, probably a nice cup of hot cocoa.
I'm only 3 hours in the future. I'm not that far in the future.
You definitely are 3 hours in the future from me. Out here on the left coast, the best coast. I'm gonna go. I don't know if I can make this. Can I make this work? I might be able to make. I think I can make it work. Yeah, I think I can make it work. Let me see if I can make it. So if I was to do this thing, I think that would allow me to do this other thing. And yeah, I could do the thing. I could totally do the thing. Oh, this is easy. This is an easy game. You took Godwin. I'm gonna take Mike Evans because Mike Evans makes touchdowns happen often. In fact, more so than any other wide receiver the last 3 years in the NFL. Mike Evans is like, he is a guy who makes touchdowns a thing. And while Tom Brady may not be an elevator of talent anymore, you know, he is like 67 years old. But when he has talented wide receivers like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans surrounding him, it makes him, because of his superior brain and understanding of how to read pre-snap and make post-snap decisions and call plays and understand flow, when he has capable pass catchers, he looks like a world beater. So now that he has both of them back, Mike Evans with 103 yards last week, 2 touchdowns. He's only 6,900. It's a nice price, but like, it's not where it should be. Like, he should be at or above where Amon-Ra St. Brown is. Because of the suspension, because of the half game against New Orleans in week 2, he has not jumped. So like, give me Mike Evans in this spot at 6,900. I got KUPP, Olave, and Evans. What are you going to do about that?
Well, I'm going to hope that I can find some value elsewhere.
Elsewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have neither one of us have locked up the quarterback position, have we?
We have not. Another one of those positions where there's a lot of similar values at similar price points.
I like the $5,600 price point of Trevor Lawrence taking on the Houston Texans this week, Alvin.
Oh, so now we're going heads up. Now if they get inside the 5, now it's a sweat.
What happens?
Yeah.
Now which one of them is going to get the run? That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's sort of where I'm at $5,600. And again, he struggled last week, but for him,
we're throwing that out. It was against Philly in a monsoon. That doesn't even count. That game never happened from a fantasy perspective.
So my expectations for Jacksonville at home against the Houston Texans, for him to be able to outpace $5,600 and potentially more than outpace $5,600 with his legs if things go right, I think he's just a great value here. And it's even better because if he does steal those goal line touches from James Robinson, like, it's just going to hurt you so much, man.
I'd be very upset.
Yeah.
I might even be upsetty spaghetti if that was to happen. I've not been upsetty spaghetti yet this season, but that if Trevor Lawrence runs in a touchdown from inside the 10-yard line, I will officially be upsetty spaghetti. Sunshine has done very well so far this year. I am excited to see his progression as a quarterback. That means that I don't have to take a quarterback. So that's nice. Where else should I go here? I could do a couple of things. Who else do I have on my list? I have 2 guys on my list who are essentially the same price, but I have to look at like the wide receiver position really quick. It's hard producing a show and you know, having witty banter and doing all these other things that you have to do.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
I think tight end is very deep. I don't have to take a quarterback. I can wait. That can be my last pick at this point. I think tight end is somewhat deep this week as a result of like everybody being bunched, right? So the 2 difference makers at tight end are off the slate. Kelsey and Andrews not on the slate. So everybody already is falling into this very condensed 5,200 to like, let's say 3,100 range, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like right in here. And there's 5 of them who are like just fine. They're all fine. Like, none of them are thrilling. They're nice, but like none of them are just jumping off the page as the standout value guy at the position. And they're all fine. You know, like, there's nobody that I think you have to take this guy in that range just because they're all just kind of there. You know, whether you're dealing with Engram or Goddard or Freiermuth or Schultz or Njoku or HIGBEE, right? I think they're all kind of in that same range. So I think I want to go a little bit cheap at tight end. And if you're going to have, this could blow up. Like, this could absolutely blow up. Like, do I go with, you know, forever fan, or do I try to take Evan Engram and hope that he gets more targets this week? Which I honestly, I'm not sure that he's going to get more targets. The Rams have been very good against tight ends. Dalton Schultz has been a little bit out of favor, you know.
Yep, he has.
I want to take a tight end in this spot, but I don't know if it's even Cole Kmet. God, I might just have to punt off tight end entirely.
Oh, come on. I'm looking at the guy that it should be.
There's a bunch of guys that it should be, but like I've got to figure out a defense. I honestly think I have to figure out a defense. And it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. Going up against the Rams. Going up against the Rams. And it's a team that has given up 4 sacks per game, 16 sacks through their first 4 games. And the Cowboys, really good at creating pressure with their front 4 right now. I can't see this ending well for Matthew Stafford. But, like, I know that people are going to say, yeah, but you have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp can get me there on volume alone, much like he did against San Francisco with his 19 targets. Every time that Stafford drops back, he just looks Cooper Kupp's way. Did not score a touchdown, still had 29 fantasy points against San Francisco on the road. I don't think there's any way Cooper Kupp gets less than 10 targets in this game. I also don't think that there's any way that the Cowboys don't get 3 sacks in this game. So I can score on both of these accounts. I never worry about points against when it comes to my defense. I only worry about pressure on an opposing quarterback. And this is a perfect situation for that with Dallas's D-line versus the Rams O-line issues right now. And they're only 2,500, which seems really strange to me. So I'm going to take that value there, which will allow me to do one other thing that I want to do with this team. And I'll kick it back to you.
That Monday night price down of the Dallas defense is a real thing. Mm-hmm. I really wanted them. That's the
second time I've swiped the defense early on the cage match this year. It didn't work out the first time, but it definitely tilted my opponents.
All right, you know what? You went Cooper Kupp number 1 overall, and then you took the Dallas defense. Mm-hmm. It's just gonna hurt that much more when Matthew Stafford decides, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw it to the other guy that I love in this offense, and I'm saying Tyler HIGBEE at the tight end position. Him and the 14 targets he got last week. He's had 9 or more targets in 3 of the 4 weeks this year. Only $4,300 against this defense. So here's the thing. If he scores, that hurts your defense. If he scores, it means that Cooper Kupp didn't get in the end zone. If he scores, it means that I'm the only one that is receiving the glory from those touchdown points, Al. Give me Tyler HIGBEE. How dare you make me take Tyler HIGBEE? How dare you make me do that?
So here's the thing. In my defense, Tyler HIGBEE has not scored yet. That doesn't mean he's never going to score. Past results are not indicative of future production.
We'll see.
And there's a lot of stickiness to targets and catches and yards at the tight end position and how many touchdowns he should score on top of end zone targets. But all the Rams do when they get near the end zone is throw fade routes at Allen Robinson horribly. So I would hope. This is definitely a point of inflection. And HIGBEE's a great play. Maybe the top play at tight end this week because of the volume that he's gotten in the absence of Van Jefferson. And I kind of feel like he's going to continue to get that sort of volume all the time. I can see that continuing.
Week 5, I need week 5 to not be the fix me week for Allen Robinson. This can't be the week that they decide to finally throw it to him. It needs to still be just Tyler HIGBEE and Cooper Kupp. Dang it. What am I going to do at defense now? You're such a...
The defenses get really sparse when you get lower.
I thought about taking the Cowboys earlier, but I was like, I can't take a Cowboys as one of my first picks. But that $2,500, because it's still just a defense, but $2,500 is a great price point. I just like him so much more than everyone else.
Can I fit him? It would have to be cheap. I could do it. Doesn't mean it's to be done, but I should probably do it. I could do this too and really cheese you off. That could be it. I don't want to take a quarterback here. I don't need to take a quarterback here, but I have a tight end and a flex. You've already filled your tight end. You have things that you could do. You could just take another. You still essentially have a flex, but I kind of feel like I just want to have Tom Brady in this spot, even with the Cole Beasley troll retirement today. Tom Brady in a fantastic spot against Atlanta. Massive team total, one of the highest on the slate. Yes, I think that they're going to win this game. There is a possibility that they do it on the ground. Both of the running backs on this team catch balls. This could be a 2, 3, 4 touchdown game for Tom Brady with a 300-yard bonus, as all of their pass catchers are now healthy. A fully operational battle station are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Only $6K. This is too cheap for Tom Brady in this spot. I'll take him, leaving me 3,800 on average for my last two players as a tight end and a flex. We know that I can get a tight end at that range. We'll see what I end up with in the flex, but I kind of like my team so far. But you have a flex player and a defense left to go.
Yeah. And I think I know where I'm going to go here.
Okay.
I'm going to go the flex, and I'm going to take, with the absence of Jahan Dotson, $5,800 Curtis Samuel at home taking on the Tennessee Titans.
All right.
In part because 11 targets week 1, 9 targets week 2, 10 targets week 3, 7 targets in week 4. Now you're talking about Jahan Dotson missing this game. He did not practice today because he is apparently sick with an illness. He has a couple of days to be able to get right before this game happens, so I'm not quite as worried about it. But I think with the amount of volume that he is getting here, I like Curtis Samuel, $5,800 as the number 2 pass. He's actually probably the number 1 pass catcher there in that offense, if I'm being honest.
I mean, he's been really good, right? He's been stellar so far. And so he's got a really trash A-dot, right? Like they're throwing him it's like it rivals what Rondale Moore's A-dot was last year, right? It's not great. It's not something that we love to see. Like they're throwing the ball very close to the line of scrimmage, but in full PPR with bonuses, and when you factor in how much of his usage is coming in and around the red zone inside the 10-yard line, he brings more touchdown upside than a normal wide receiver would, because we want deeper A-dot with high volume because of the big splash ability. But like really solid plays so far this year. If his not production, but if his usage goes back to what it was in weeks 1 and 2, inside the red zone, 10 targets a week, like absolute high floor play week in, week out. You got 2,700 for a defense. You want to pick your defense now, or you need a second?
No, I can pick my defense now. Don't you need to pick someone though?
I can, but like I already have a defense, so I can't block you.
Oh, okay.
If you need a second, I'll just pick mine.
No, I don't need a second.
No, actually, no.
Yeah.
It's like that was like old Captain America. Do you need a second? No, I don't think I will.
No, I don't think I do. I need a second. Go ahead and do yours.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm so decisive.
So we come over to me. I have very little money remaining. Very, very, very little money remaining. I have to get a value wide receiver. I think I leave myself out if I take Zay Jones. I believe that I leave myself, my fingers on the chess piece though. I think I leave myself out in this spot. He missed last week. They believe he's going to be ready to go. If Zay Jones plays, I want him in this spot. I think he's a very good value play. I think he has a very high floor. That would leave me 3,500 for a tight end, which I think is more than enough. But I think there's a more optimal route. Like I could go with him and SCHULTZ. I think that the more optimal route here, though, would be to go. Let's see, where's the wide receiver? 3,800. I think he's 3,800. No, he's 39. I can't do it. I have to go that route. So I'm going to go with Zay Jones. Plug him in here in the flex at 4,100. That kind of rivals or takes a bit of a chunk away from your Trevor Lawrence. If he throws those touchdown passes, one of them at least to Zay Jones, that will be solid. He's his kind of safety blanket in this spot, leaving me 3,500. It's a choice for me in this spot between, Disley's kind of the joke on the channel. I'm not picking Will Disley.
You should pick Will Disley. What are you talking about? He's had double-digit fantasy points 3 of the last 4 weeks. He's had 3 touchdowns 3 of the last 4 weeks, Al. Those are numbers. Numbers don't lie to you.
Those are definitely numbers. He does nothing but score touchdowns. But I'm going to go with Dalton Schultz against the Rams. Rams are a tough team, but the Cowboys are going to have to throw the ball a little bit in this spot. Give me Dalton Schultz to go along with him. My team: Tom Brady, James Robinson, BREECE Hall, Cooper Kupp, Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Schultz, Zay Jones, and the Cowboys defense. I will kick it back to you for your defensive pick.
With 2,700 left, I'm going to go with the New York Football Jets taking on the Miami Dolphins at home. Listen,
Teddy Two Gloves.
I am hoping that they're able to take advantage of potentially Teddy and the offense maybe being a little less in rhythm. We'll see. But always interdivisional games, I think they're always tough from that standpoint. And so give me a home team. I honestly, I just really wanted the Cowboys. I don't like the price point where I'm left with like defenses. I just feel like I'm sort of just like spinning a wheel and picking one.
I think there's a lot of defenses around like the 3K range that are very palatable, like the Titans, the Dolphins against the Jets at 3,200. The
like that
Lions
more.
against Zappy at 2,800, but like it might be a little bit of a pay up week. So Dopp's lineup: Trevor Lawrence, Damian Harris, Stevenson, Godwin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Higbee, CeeDee Lamb, and the Jets defense. Let me know in the replies down below who you think is going to win this week. Definitely go to the description and check out both charities that we're playing for. And if you wanted to give, definitely give. It will show up on the screen during the stream if you did. So thank you guys for your participation and watching, and look out for another video right there. Awesome.
Dude, I am so bummed. Here's what, listen, I laid out every player that I wanted.
Yeah, you got all of them?
I just feel like they were the rug that tied my room together. And now I feel like the dude. And I don't have my rug. And it's like, it's a pretty good lineup, but without that rug, what am I gonna do, man? So I'm real bummed about that part. I gotta hope that the Jets get a tutty.
He's a legend.